here I'm at the other end of the manure road, and this area in here, it's hard to see because it's been covered with snow, but was a depression, and we've had other manure piles, but my neighbor suggested we try to fill in the depression level off the ground here. So it's been a year or so. We've been gradually filling it in. It's hard to tell now because it's a layer of snow and manure and snow and manure. Once it thaws in spring, I'll have a better sense of where we need to level it out and get a bit more. So anyway, this is my path. One of the dilemmas I face during the snow is whether or not to shovel this. If I shovel it, it's a good hour or more to shovel this distance, and but it certainly makes hauling the wheelbarrow every time after that easy. When the snow is lighter, and lighter I mean 3 to 6 inches, I'll invest the effort to drag the wheelbarrow up the hill and then down this side. You just kind of break a path with the wheelbarrow, and it's tough. I have to stop several times along the way up just out of exhaustion. But once I've done that, the snow is compressed, and the next time I can do it pretty easy, or relatively easy, and then every time after that gets easier and easier. Now today, what you're seeing here is I had shoveled once, so you can see where it's been shoveled down, but then we probably had another 6 inches at least since then, in increments of 3 or 4 inches at a time. And so I didn't shovel anymore. I've just been dragging it through. But today is so warm that everything's softening up. So instead of having that nicely compressed path for my tires to roll on, it's a bit more like dragging it through sand. Although having just gone up it now, it's compressed it down pretty good again. So as long as if it gets cold again quick, it'll be a pretty easy trail to navigate. I do a lot of my work after midnight, and partly it's because I feed them many times a day, and so I spread it out. It doesn't do any good to feed them 3 times a day, a couple hours apart. So inevitably, one of their last feeding times is midnight, and it's just so peaceful out here that I just end up staying out much longer than I even anticipate. Sometimes I come out here, I'm dead tired, but then I get invigorated by being out here. Last night I was going to only feed him and come right back in, but 2.5 hours later I came back in, having reshoveled some areas and carved out a few more. And a lot of times at night here, I have a headlight that I wear on my cap so I can see very well at night. And a lot of times in here, if I shine the light around, I'll find deer who are nesting on the ground, and they're pretty tame. I'm surprised I can get within 10, 20 yards of them, and they'll just lie there or they'll stand there and they won't move. I don't know if they're conditioned to me or if their instinct is they figure I can't see them or something. I don't know, even though the light's shining right on them. But anyway, so this is the trail back. I am going to relocate the trail over time. This kind of developed, it's a winding curve, and some people say, well, why don't you just make it straight? But the manure pile's been in different places along the way, and originally this area you're seeing in here, you couldn't walk through it. It was just so full of bushes and brambles, and so when we first built the path, we took the path of least resistance, so to speak. And over time, we've eventually cleared out more, so now it looks like, there would be a much straighter path, but I'm used to it, so anyway, we'll just say goodbye to the donkeys before we go. Oh, there's my dog Buddy. Now, donkeys and dogs in the wild are natural enemies, and in fact, many of you have heard me say that one of the most common uses of donkeys in the United States is as guard animals. They're very effective at keeping coyotes and wolves and other predators away from herds of sheep and cattle. And they're so prevalent that in some states, it's like 95% of the ranches have employed donkeys as guard animals. But, just like cats and dogs, they'll be kind of natural enemies. If you bring them up together and you let them acclimate, they can get along just fine. So my guy here, Buddy, gets along just fine with the donkeys. They try to play with him, the donkeys do, but he's not always so motivated to play. So here's Flint. He'll be 2 years old in March. He's a handsome guy, very smart guy. Right now I'm training him to stay like a dog, you know. Stay and don't move. And he's doing pretty well. I'll post a video of that in the near future. Alright guys, time to say goodbye. Here's Stomper. And tell Stomper from everybody else, because he's the only one in the herd with a black nose. Oh, and here's Sweetie Pie. She's the herd leader, that's why Stomper got out of the way. She's the old lady of the group, and they tend to be the herd leaders in donkey herds. There's two little brothers, Romper on the right, Stomper, Flame, Flame. Flame, say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. There you go. It's Flame. She's got a little white spot on her forehead, but you can't see with all her long hair. There's Indy and her baby, Dakota. Indy. Indy. Now look up and say hi. Where? Come on, look up. Look up. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Oh, so much for that. Alright, well, goodbye from Donkey Park until the next snow.